Manx Radio Sport.
Just gone 5 o'clock here on Manx Radio AM, Manx Radio AM on DAB and of course online at manxradio.com or via the free Manx Radio smartphone app. Welcome to Saturday Sport Classified. Simon Quine with you through until just before 6 o'clock this evening, joined by Tony Mepham, Dave Christian and Ben Cunningham as we review all the action from today's local football, rugby and hockey. And on top of looking back at today's action, we'll have not one, not two, but three football cup draws to do as well before 6 o'clock. Also looking back at the action from the GH Corlett Woods Cup first round, including a penalty shootout in our featured game that Tony was at for us this afternoon. All that coming up before 6 o'clock. But as always, let's start with the classified results for today. And beginning in football, the GH Corlett Woods Cup first round finished Maloo 1, Ramsey Youth Centre Old Boys 1. That game finishing 5-6 on penalties. Braddon 6, Governors Athletic 0. Douglas High School and Old Boys 3, Douglas and District 0. Moving on to Canada Life Men's Premier League, Onchan 1, Foxdale 1. Laxey 0, Russian 5. Ramsey 1, St Mary's 1. St John's United 1, Morown 0. St George's 1, Corinthians 4. Ayr United 3, Union Mills 4. Arden and Druggan Limited Division 2, Pulrose United 1, Colby 3. In Canada Life Combination 1, the game between Foxdale and Onchan was postponed. Russian United 1, Laxey 2. St Mary's 1, Ramsey 7. Awaiting results in the game between Morown and St John's United in Combination 1 and also Union Mills against Ayr in Combination 1. If you have details of that game, 166 177, do please let us know. Moving on to Arden and Druggan Limited Combination 2, Castletown 5, Governors Athletic 1. Again, awaiting a result from Douglas Athletic against Douglas Royal. Ramsey Youth Centre Old Boys 5, Douglas and District 2, Michael United 0, Douglas High School and Old Boys 6 and Colby 4. Pulrose 0. Turning our attention to the rugby today, Regional 2 Northwest, Altrincham Kersal 33, Douglas 24. We're awaiting a result between in Counties 3 ADM, Lancashire and Cheshire, Burnley against Vagabonds. We will hopefully have that at some point in the programme. Women's NC2 North South, Eccles 15, Vagabonds 12. In the Manx Shield, the game between Southern Nomads and Western Vikings was postponed due to Vikings being unable to field a team. And our featured game today, the friendly between Ramsey and Douglas Casuals, finished Ramsey 22, Douglas Casuals 29. Hockey in the Men's Premier League, Backers A 8, Valkyries B 0. Vikings A 6, Harlequins A 2. Valkyries A 4, Castletown A 3. Ladies Premier League, Harlequins A 0, Vikings A 2. Ramsey A 0, Castletown A 7. Backers A 2, Backers A 1, Valkyries A 2. Men's Division 1, Backers C 0, Backers B 10. Vikings B 5, Harlequins B 0. We are awaiting a result in the Ramsey A Castletown B game, 166 177, if you have the details on that when it does finish. Ladies Division 1, Castletown D 0, Valkyries B 1. Vikings B 0, Castletown B 6. Backers B 3, Castletown C 3. And Men's Division 2, Valkyries C 3, Castletown C 0. Vikings C7, Backers Colts 1, and Ladies Division 2, Ramsey B 0, Castletown E 0, Backers C2, Valkyries C 0, Harlequins B against Vikings C. We're awaiting a result from that. Mixed Under-15s League, awaiting the result between Valkyries and Ramsey Rogues and Rascals. We do have a result though for Castletown Sabres, Viking B, which finished Castletown Sabres 3, Vikings B 0. And the final game in the mixed under-15s league, Harlequins against Vikings A, has just got underway about 7 minutes ago. We'll hopefully have a half-time in that game before the end of the programme. So it's 7.5 minutes after 5 o'clock. Let's look at football first of all, Tony. And we'll deal with the game you were at first in the GH Corlett Woods Cup first round. You were pleased to be stood out in the cold for 120 minutes plus today, I think, weren't you?
I have to say it was pretty chilly because I can normally weather the storm, but because you stood still for an hour and a half and just getting that wind coming straight in off the sea was pretty rough, to be fair. And I just wanted to get it finished in 90 minutes, but they teased us because we went into extra time and they teased us again, and then we had to go into penalty shootout. So yeah, 40 odd minutes roughly of cold air. I got the van, heater on full blast, getting back in, so I'm not too bad now, Simon. I've been able to take my coat and everything else off because yes, it was a bit chilly.
So let's look at the game then. It finished at 1-1 after 120 minutes. Fair reflection of the action?
Sort of. When you look at sort of the way it went, Dan Flanagan was fantastic. Daniel Thirlwell, was fantastic in goal, and he just sort of pulled off one or two good saves as well throughout the game. And he tipped it on the bar, and it was brilliant to watch. But when you look at the two goals, the first one came within the first minute. I think it was about 30 seconds. Mark Hargreaves scored the goal, just lack of concentration, just basically from the kickoff, and he managed to squeeze it to the goalkeeper's left-hand side. He placed it really well, to be fair, to make it 1-0, but then about 3 minutes later, an equaliser down the left-hand side, good movement by Ramsey Youth Centre, and Ross Crawford managed to cut in and have the shot, and it went in, and 1-1 it was. And you know, Dean Kinley, he's a great player. He sort of teases the teams to provoke them and everything, but you know, he's quality at the back and kept things nice and tight. It's a strange position for him to play. But Ramsey Youth Centre just kept pushing things forward. Corey Casti in midfield, you know, was trying his best to try and get the ball out to the wingers. I thought Jamie Brew played really well, you know, keeping the ball nice and tight. And then when you got Ross Crawford, who's been in great form, scoring plenty of goals lately, you just thought to yourself it was Ramsey Youth Centre going to win it, because you look at the league table, Ramsey Youth Centre are well ahead of Maloo. But when it went to extra time, nip and tuck, maybe a penalty call. Dean Kinley might have handled it, not on purpose, but hit his hand. But referee Nathan Cool, who had a good game, didn't give it. But then we went into the penalty shootout, and Maloo Dean Kinley took the first one and scored, and it was Ross Crawford who scored to make it 1-1. And then it was bizarre that on the second set of penalties, Maloo scored, Ramsey Youth Centre missed. And then on the third set, Maloo missed and Ramsey Youth Centre scored. And then after that, it was right the way through until it was, not Carl Berry, it was the one right from the end where they missed. And it was Brodie, I think it was Carl Berry, over the bar. And it was Brodie Culshaw, who's only 16 years of age, plus 4 months, scored the winning penalty. So well done to him, held his nerve, and absolute, man on sort of thing. They just went berserk when they got that result, and they go into the hat tonight later on. But Maloo will be disappointed. But when you look at Maloo's score lines lately, they've been conceding a lot of goals. I think it was 7, was it, against Governors? And today they looked really good and competing against one of the top sides. So take something from that. Mm-hmm. Work on the fitness, because you can see the fitness was a little bit down. But no credit to both teams, and Ramsey Youth Centre just sneaked it on that penalty shootout. Okay,
and we move on then to Braddon 6, Governors Athletic 0. Fairly convincing win for Braddon there.
Yeah, I think it was expected, really. And when you look at the players they've got in there, Mark O'Neill with another goal, Dylan Barton got 1, Liam Kane on the score sheet with 2, 1 from the penalty spot, Tom Healy as well done Tom, and Ryan Edwards got the other one. It was 3-0 to Braddon at half time. Governors, I thought, might have got it a little bit closer, but it just shows you where Braddon are. They're in good form at the moment.
Okay, I'm just going to fill in a couple of scores we've just got in here, Tony. Excellent. As well, just as we're going in Arden and Druggan Limited Combination 2. Yep. It finished Douglas Athletic 1 at Douglas Royal 3.
Okay.
I've got no information on the scorers there. And staying in Combination 1, Marown 1, St John's United 9.
Yeah, pretty convincing that one. Still missing that Uni Mills air if there's anybody out there.
I'll keep flicking through these while you tell us about Douglas High School Old Boys against Douglas and District. 3-0 winners on the day, Old Boys.
Yeah, I think Douglas District, that's a fair result. I know they've lost, but it's a cup game. But D&D have had a tough time this season, and they've still hung in together and come out with some close results. And this is a good one against one of the top sides in the Ardnall and Duggan Division 2. But it's a cup, and Old Boys want to retain this cup. And Danny Corran, who's been in great form lately, I think he got 2 last week, another one today. Jack Adams as well, liked him when I watched him in the game against Colby, tricky player. Jacob Stones, who's probably one of their better goal scorers as well. I think he's just been come back from injury, I think it was. 3-0, Old Boys go through, and D&D, good performance.
Okay, so we're going to do the draw for the quarterfinals of GH Corlett Woods Cup very shortly.
Yep.
So we'll come on to that a little bit later in the programme. But we'll move on to Canada Life Men's Premier League. And we start off with the first game on the sheet. It's a draw between Onchan and Foxdale. 1-1 that finished.
Yeah, tight. And, Foxdale at the moment, as I've said before, key players missing and still in touch at the top of the table. But Jay Chatwood it was who got the first one to give them the lead. And then Onchan, I think they're too good to go down, but you still want to sort of give yourself a bit of a gap. And they keep picking up these draws against good teams, but they need 3 points from somewhere. Mm-hmm. And Andy Asbridge was the goal scorer once again for Onchan. So well done to him. Well done to both teams, because, it's one of those sort of pitches when there's a lot of water come down. It can struggle a bit, but this week's been pretty dry. So hopefully it didn't spoil a game, and point shared.
Bit of a shock result, I'd have thought, in the next one. Russian coming out 5-0 winners against Laxey.
Huge shock, and I was talking about it today, actually, at the game I was at. Laxey on paper are one of the strongest teams in the league, but they just can't show any consistency at all. And to draw a blank as well, when you look at the players that they've got available, here's a bit of a surprise, but no doubt about it today. Star of the show, Danny Lane, and when he signed for Russian, I thought, let's just see how Danny gets on here, because he's a really good player. Showed faith with Castletown, but stepped up into the Premier League with Russian and has been scoring the odd goals. But, Danny is a proven goal scorer, and today he goes first on 29. Then Stephen Harris got one on 41 minutes, so 2-0 at half-time. But then Danny Lane got his second 8 minutes into the second half, and then completed his hat-trick on 77. So well done to him. Jimmy Cadwalder got one towards the end. I think it was about 85-ish minutes, I think. And to make it Russian 5, Laxey 0. And that's a brilliant result for the Southern boys.
I mean, I'm just looking at the table here, Tony, and it's just, you can see there's a scutch of teams in the middle there. You've got your top 3, and then you've got sort of St Mary's down to Foxdale with about 3 points separating them. But Laxey, what stands out for me there in the top half of the table is the goal difference. They're on -5 after that result today. They really need to be scoring more goals if they're going to sustain that charge on the top half of the table, don't they?
Well, you have to, and I know Tommy Kenny's been missing for a while with injury, but you've got Tom Cowan in there, who's one of the top centre-backs in Manx football in the Premier League. Goalkeeper-wise, and it's not picking out the goalkeeper because the main goalkeeper is not available, and that's Glenn Walker, who's away working now. He's home for Christmas and could play, but he conceded a few goals when he was here. But yeah, it's a big problem for Laxey. They've got so many good young players coming through. You've got to allow them to blossom. Mm-hmm. But the players that are sort of, early 20s, they're the players that you need to take ownership of the game. And, today it didn't happen. And that's a big result that for Russian. Mm-hmm. And, sure, Johnny Palmer will be finding a dark room tonight, just sitting in it and hiding away, because he can't find any answers yet to get consistency in that team.
We move on as well then to Ramsey 1, St Mary's 1. St Mary's would have liked to get the 3 points here, because it would have just kept them in touch with that top 3, wouldn't it?
Well, it is, and it just shows you where St Mary's are. Ramsey, a good side. They had a torrid start to the season, but they're starting to come good now. And Ollie Ayres, I think he's 16 years of age and scoring plenty of goals. I think that might be 5 or 6 goals he scored now. But St Mary's Mark Wolfenden, who's a proven goal scorer throughout many years in Manx football, still scoring. But I think the pressure showed on the penalty taker for Ramsey, because it was either missed or saved. I'm not too sure. Dylan Pickles, he normally took some away. So I'll be nice to Dylan and say it was a keeper save, but he couldn't score, and the points are shared. Ramsey 1, St Mary's 1.
Okay, St John's United 1, Moran 0.
Yeah, I think Sam Brown's buzzing. He's not very well. Speedy recovery. Sam, he's got this bug that's kicking round. And Callum Taggart, I think, probably manager, goal scorer, captain, everything today. And it was a sublime chip by Callum Taggart to give St John's that points, because 1-0 against Moran, it was going to be one of those games. Sticks, the goalkeeper, 1 or 2 really great saves by him, and Andrew Chadwick was judged as man of the match. So another big 3 points that for St John's. I know recently they had a really good result when they were 4-1 down and came back into the game. Incredible. So today it's another safety for them. Just those 3 points to keep them away from the bottom.
And at the other end of the table, Corinthians looking just to close that gap at the top of the table. Peel, of course, still with a game in hand, but Corinthians running at 4-0 winners against 4-1 winners against St George's today. Yeah,
and I think Corinthians in this, Simon, they had to be so patient on it, because St George's, I think, held them possibly the first half. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know they didn't score many goals in that first period. And then it was Dan Simpson who got the first. João Marquez, I think, scored one from the penalty. Josh Ridings got one, and Connor Clark got one. Not too sure who got Geordie's goal, but they got one. So it sort of worried Corinthians a little bit. I think that might have been at 3-1. But huge 3 points for Corinthians, because we're going to come to a big talking scoreline in a minute. And then we'll have a little look at the league table after that, because you've got them in front of you.
I have. I just want to come to something else there, Tony. I've had 2 texts in about this. With Dylan Pickles' penalty. So the first one said it was about 4 foot wide.
Right.
But, but we weren't there, so we won't comment on that. And then another text in to say it wasn't saved, but he put it wide. So there we go. We can clear that one up.
I'm just trying to look after Dylan's sort of street cred.
So we'll move on to, like you say, the big result of the day. And you called it last night, Tony. Ayr United 3, Union Mills 4.
Yeah, I could see Ben look at me when I said it, but I just sensed it, because, Ayr United at the moment are a few players down. That's not taking it away from Corinthians last week and Union Mills this week, because, Ayr United are a really good side and everyone's favourites to win the league. But now they're in severe pressure, because Union Mills were 2-0 up at one stage. I think it was Dominic McCarry-Brennan with both. But then Chris Duggan got a couple of goals, Harry Best, but it didn't go 3-2, because I think Lewis Hicks it was who scored one. And it was Jack Murray, who's been in great form, player the round in the ECAP FA Cup. He scored on 79 minutes. So I believe the third goal was an absolute worldie by Union Mills. So I'll take a guess that's Lewis. So if it is you, Lewis, take a bow, because that's coming from an Ayr United supporter. But I think Union Mills scored 2 of their goals in a minute. Wow. But Ayr United be disappointed with that. That's 6 points they've dropped in 2 games now. And it really is a vantage Peel in the league, and just creeping up a little bit behind are Corinthians if they can hold it together.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking. I don't know if you've got the table in front of you there, Tony, but as things stand at the moment, so Peel remain top, played 15, 37 points. Corinthians then played 16 with 34. And Ayr now played 15 with 31 points. So like you say, those 6 points they've dropped in the last couple of games could have a big impact come the end of the season.
Well, it is, and with Peel, they've got a very good side, very young side, so they get better each game. I think Peter Kenyak's done a really good job in getting the 2 age bands glued together, because there's some experience in there and some young ones as well. It can cave in. We were talking about it before about the English Premier League, Liverpool, Arsenal, City and everyone else. It can happen, and this one here at the moment, I'm just looking at Corinthians because they had a bit of a blip. I think... they've got it together now. They've had 1 or 2 players coming back. Dan Simpson's been a massive player to get back in. So it's all to challenge at for Corinthians, and it's all to lose for Peel. But with 15, they play 24 games, so 9 games, the games start to run out now.
I mean, even you look further down the table, and that's St Mary's, Union Mills, Laxey, Ramsey and Foxdale, all separated by 3 points. Foxdale with a couple of games in hand. Union Mills have played a few more than the teams around them. So, again, there's going to be a lot of chopping and changing in those positions before the end of the season. Yeah,
there is, and I think the team I said at Christmas to look out for was St Mary's. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to field the squad that they wanted. But Union Mills, Ryan Kelly's got them in good form. and 4 goals, and they're missing 1 or 2 players as well. So it's all nice and tight. That's what we like to see, and this is one of the things that basically has come out of FC Isle of Man, because it's even the league up, and now we've got 5-6 teams there battling to win the league. And if FC Isle of Man weren't about, it'd be probably 1 or 2 teams challenging at the top. So it's good to see.
Okay, let's move on to Arden and Drug Limited Division 2. Just the one game today. Pulrose 1, Colby 3. The result you'd expect then, Tony?
Yeah, I think so. Certainly the star of the show for Colby was Carl Hickey. He got a hat-trick. But I've got on the information sent through to me that Pulrose led at half-time 1-0. That goal was scored by high-scoring Kieran Smith. So well done to him. But doesn't matter. Colby keep those 3 points. I think it's a lot for them to challenge. I think it's going to be Castletown, Old Boys and Braddon who are going to sort of really take a grip of Division 2. But if there was a massive slip up, Colby, I think, have got the players and the goal scorers like Carl Hickey, Steve Callister to get themselves back into the mix.
Okay, Comby 1 then. Foxdale Oncombe was postponed.
Yeah, a bit of a thing on that, Simon. Yeah. What it was, the referee turned up, Jane Ann Doyle, and had a look at the pitch and wasn't comfortable with it. Jane Ann's been in touch, and I appreciate the call explaining everything. There was a few soft spots round the pitch. I think the big problem was that Foxdale thought it was fit. Some of the young players didn't, and it's just one of those. It's difficult because everyone has different ways that they look at a pitch. But I've seen a picture of it, being sort of soft. And also, a good chunk of the pitch was hard as well. But Jane Ann Doyle is the referee. She's in control, and she said that the game was dangerous, and the players' safety is imperative. So that's why the game was not played.
Okay. We did get a game at Russian United, though. Laxey come out 2-1 winners.
Yeah, and I think that's a brilliant result for Laxey. Look at that league table.
Yeah.
Look at Russian up in the top 3. Fingal Watterson got the goal for Russian. That's a massive defeat for them, because when you've got Russian there chasing, you've got Oncombe way ahead in the league. That's a real struggle for them, but fair play to Laxey, great result.
Just the second game Russian have lost all season, that as well.
Yeah, it is, and when you think it was them and Ramsey that competed all last year, Russian are always up there. They don't often slip up against a team that's quite a bit below them, but today, Laxey's team, and I saw the actual team, and there's a lot of veteran Masters players in there. Steve Thatcher, I noticed, was in there. 1 or 2 sort of others. So fair play. Maybe you need to play the old guard.
High scoring game involving St Mary's and Ramsey. St Mary's 1, Ramsey 7. That game finished.
Jamie Skillen got the goal for St Mary's. Haven't got Ramsey's goal scorers. So anybody out there who's got it, please 166 177.
Okay, another high scoring game, round 1, St John's United 9.
Yeah, haven't got any goal scorers on that. That's the one that you had come through. And did you get anything
just have a look?
Union Mills and Ayr?
I did, but I'll just come to the goal scorers first on that St John's one. Cian Brock with 3, Liam Sale with 1, and a worldie from Lewis. Is that going to be?
That'll be Lewis Daly.
That's Lewis Daly. So that is St John's scorers. That's Paul. Thank you for that information there, so we can get that. I did get a score for Union Mills against Ayr. It's another high scoring one, a bit like the first team.
Yeah.
Union Mills 6, Ayr United 4.
Yeah, and I looked at that one last night, and I said Union Mills to win it, even though Ayr United are right in there, right close by them. If anyone can, again, text us through the scorers, please. 166 177.
Just see, did I get those? No, I didn't. No goal scorers on the message that came through, but thank you for sending us the full time. Arden and Drug Limited Combination 2, Castletown 5, Governors Athletic 1.
Yeah, an important result that for Castletown. Just gets a bit of confidence in the team. Castletown led at half time, 3-1. Ollie Shearer with a couple of goals. Ollie Lee with 1. Finn Mulligan got a goal and an own goal. Haven't got Governor's goal scorer, but at half time it was 3-1 to Castletown.
Okay, Douglas Athletic 1, Douglas Royal 3.
That's all I've got on that one, Simon.
That's all I've had through, I think, as well.
Okay.
Just let me check no further information. Oh, I have got scorers on that. I've got scorers for Royals anyway. Kieran Lane with 2 and Michael Quine.
Michael Quine got 1. Wow. He's supposed to be playing Masters tomorrow. That could be that could be painful.
And next game we've got in Combi 2, Ramsey Youth Centre Old Boys 5, D&D 2.
Yes, and it was 3-2 at half time for Douglas and District, thanks to Dave Matheson, for giving us the results. Dom Quirk with a goal, that's his fourth of the season. Jamie Dodd with his first goal of the season there for Douglas and District. Haven't got Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys goal scorers.
Okay, penultimate game of the day, Michael United 0, Douglas High School Old Boys 6.
Yeah, that's a fair performance, I think, for Michael. We know what troubles they've gone through, and credit to them, but Old Boys are a really good side, and Kieran Presley today was in banging form. He got a hat-trick, Ryan Healy got one, Caleb Anderson on the score sheet, and Glenn Haddock got the other one. And just to point out, and it's always nice from an opposing club for Old Boys to say that Michael Corlett and Jamie Blair were terrific in motivating the team and just all round good eggs, so well done to those two.
That's good to hear. And at the top of the table, Colby extending their lead at the top of Comby 2 with a 4-0 win over Pulrose.
Yeah, all the damage was done in the first period. They were 3-0 up, Colby at half-time. James Golloway with one, Seb Spears, Jack Forum and Jack Skillicorn got the other one. And I believe Kane Bibby for Colby saved a penalty as well.
I think I had that through as well earlier
Well
on.
done
So
to him.
yes. Okay then, Tony. So we've got 3 draws to rattle through. We've got 3 draws, rugby and hockey to do in the next 32 minutes. So let's see how we get on with this.
And I want to go and watch Arsenal play as well.
So first draw then is for the GH Corlett Woods Cup quarter-finals. Tony, if you just want to explain what we're drawing here, how many teams
I
are
certainly
in it?
will. It's quarter-finals, the second round, but quarter-final sounds better. And it's 23rd of February. These ties will be played. And I'm glad that my mate Ben here is going to make the draw for us, Ben Cunningham. So, Ben, if you can make the draw, it should be 8 numbers in there.
Yep, there is.
There is. So, the first one out of the bag, please.
It's number 8.
And the number 8 is Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys, who won today against Maloo.
Against number 2.
And number 2 is Castletown.
Number 3.
Number 3 is a home game for Colby.
Against number 5.
And number 5 is Douglas Royal.
Number 7.
Number 7 is Pulrose.
Against number 1.
And number 1 is Braddon.
Number 6.
Number 6 is Michael.
Against number 4.
And number 4 is Douglas High School Old Boys. So the quarterfinals for the GH Corlett Woods Cup on the 23rd of February, I think they kick off about 1:30, is Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys against Castletown. Colby will play Douglas Royal. Pulrose at home against Braddon. And Michael have a home fixture against Douglas High School Old Boys.
Okay, and Ben, you need to rearrange the balls, do you, for the next draw that we've got?
1 to 6, please, Ben, if you would. For this is the under-18s FA Cup. These games, or what it is, there's going to be 2 games because we need 2 teams to go out the competition so we can have the semi-finals. So we'll need 4 balls out of the bag. We've got 1 to 6 in there. Ben, give them a good shuffle. And the first one out, please.
Number 4.
Number 4 is Laxey,
Number 1.
and they will play Corinthians.
Number 2.
And number 2 is Douglas High School Old Boys.
Against number 5.
And number 5 is Ramsey. And just to make it clear, the 2 buys are...
Number 3.
Number 3 is Governors Athletic.
And number 6.
And number 6 is Russian. So the 2 first round ties, if you like. Laxey will have a home game, or it's not a home game because it's a bowl against Corinthians. Laxey have already beaten Corinthians this season. And Douglas High School Old Boys against Ramsey. That's an absolute belter because on paper, Old Boys looked as if they were going to win the league, but they fell away a little bit in the middle. But Ramsey, if they take a point or win on Wednesday, then they win the league. So it's all to play for them, but they've got a tough game against Old Boys.
Okay, and the third and final draw, Tony, is for the
This
Masters.
is the Masters FA Cup. There's 9 teams in there. So 1 to 9. And to make it simple for you, I just want 1 game, actually.
Just 1.
Just 1.
Just 1. All right.
So we don't need to do the buys. We'll just do that
Okay.
1 game.
I'll try and make it a good one.
Dates to be arranged because we're just shuffling the Masters round a little bit because we've gone from grass to Astro. So now we're getting a run of games now.
Number 8.
And number 8 is Peel.
against number 6.
And number 6 is Laxey, so that's it. But you've drawn out 2 good sides. So the first round, if you like, Masters FA Cup, 1 fixture, and that is Peel against Laxey.
Okay, Tony, thank you very much. I will let you get away. You've just missed 2 minutes of Arsenal. Do you want to check? Do you want me to check?
Yes,
for you?
please. If you
right,
want.
let's have a quick look at this.
Hopefully good news.
There's just no news. Still 0-0.
That'll do for me.
Right, Tony, thank you very much. I'll speak to you next weekend.
Manx Radio Sport.
And at 28 minutes to 6, we will head over to Dave Christian for the latest on today's rugby. I can tell you the missing results we had in Counties 3, ADM, Lancashire and Cheshire. That game finished Burnley 61, Vagabonds 7. But with the rest of today's action, good evening, Dave.
Yeah, good evening, Simon. Disappointment for the teams off Ireland. We've just heard that late result come in from Burnley. There weren't good results either for Douglas or Vagabonds ladies. We'll start with Douglas. They went away to Altrincham Kersal, which was a tricky fixture at the best of times. They've lost 33-24. Now, Kersal were just above them in the table. Douglas could have gained a place with a win, and they had a big win against Altrincham at Portachee earlier in the season. Not to be today, however. Kersal at home are a different kettle of fish altogether. They've got the scalp of Forward Waterloo, the favourites to take the lead, under their belt. So it was always going to be tricky for Douglas. They took a good and strong squad away, but just couldn't get the points on the day. 33-24 tries for Douglas from Josh Duncan and Harry Hewson. There was also a penalty try, and scrum half Nathan Robson kicked a penalty and 2 conversions. Douglas next week travel to next to Bottom Club Winnington Park, and that will be another chance for them to pick up an elusive away win. Remember, they haven't won away from home this season so far, so hard luck for Douglas today. And they did have a very strong casual side out, and we'll come back to that in a moment. The news in just as we were coming on air there from Burnley was that Burnley beat Vagabonds 61 points to 7 in Counties 3, ADM, Lancashire and Cheshire. It wasn't expected to be a Vagabonds win. Burnley in 5th place, Vagabonds next to bottom. 61-7 though is a little bit of an eyebrow twitch for me, because last week Vagabonds were in imperious form against Orrell, thoroughly deserved their win at Ballafletcher, and that 61-7 defeat will be knocking a bit of wind out of the Vagabonds' sails. It's not going to change their league position. They remain in 11th place. They've got a 4-point gap between them and bottom club Orrell. Ashton underline in touch and distance just above them, but they need to pick up a couple of wins if they're going to overhaul Ashton. Next weekend, it is Vagabonds at home to Fleetwood. Fleetwood are up in 5th place in the standings. That could be a tricky game for Vagabonds, but subject to the rest of the fixture list, we could well be covering that one for Saturday Live next week. Vagabonds ladies were also away this afternoon. They were in Eccles. They'd beaten Eccles early on in the season at Ballafletcher, and today it's just not gone quite the right way for them. 15-12 was the winning margin for Eccles this afternoon. Malin Campbell with 2 tries for Vagabonds. For the second successive game, she had 2 tries in the game against Lee a couple of weeks ago, and Sammy McDonald with 1 conversion. The ladies now have 2 weeks off, and their next fixture, early February, will be a home one at Ballafletcher. We'll try to cover that one for Saturday Live too, and they will play Winnington Park. The final game of the afternoon, because the Manx Shield game between Southern Nomads and Western Vikings was postponed. I understand Vikings couldn't field the team, which will mean it will be awarded as a home walkover to Southern Nomads. But that game postponed earlier on this morning, so that left just Douglas Casuals at Ramsey, and it was a cracking game. Douglas Casuals with a really strong side, regular first teamers in there. Liam Kirkpatrick, Carl Markle Ferns was there, and a couple of others too, Brendan Kelly, I think, and Lewin Scarf. But Douglas started at 1,000,000 miles an hour and raced into a 29-0 lead at half-time. Aaron Mason with 1, Adam Boyd got 2, Craig Martin with a try, and Liam Kirkpatrick with a try. Ollie Howarth kicked 2 conversions. And at 29-0, I'm one of the Murdoch Park faithful, and I was stood on that touchline thinking, oh my God, this is going to be a massive score. But in the second half, Ramsey rallied. They held Douglas scoreless for the first 20 minutes of the second half. Then Jake Richmond went in. He got the first of his 2 tries to start the Ramsey comeback with just under 20 minutes to go. Connor Goodall added a second. With 5 minutes to go, Richmond picked up his second try of the game. As the clock ticked down, Josh Coutine dived in for Ramsey's 4th try. Scott Neal converted, and it got Ramsey to within 7 points, just 1 score. But unfortunately for them, there was no time remaining, and Douglas Casuals held on for a win. But for anybody who went to the Murdoch Park this afternoon, it was only a friendly game of rugby, but it was a belter, and it was well worth standing out there in the cold. Simon.
Manx Radio Sport.
Thanks very much to Dave Christian. And finally, we move on to hockey, and joined by Ben Cunningham. Ben, we start off with the Men's Premier League, and it was a big win for Backers A over Valkyries B.
Yeah, last weekend Backers got a good win, and this weekend they've continued that form up with an 8-0 win over Valkyries B. George Harrison with a hat-trick, Elliot Reid with 2, Andy Whiting with 1, Tony Bentley Roberts with 1, and Shay Christian with 1. But Backers A showing that they're in for this Premier League title. They want it back.
Early favourites, do you think?
At the moment, looking at the way they're playing, they're looking unstoppable.
Okay, well, we move on then to Vikings A against Harlequins A. Another high-scoring game. Vikings A 6, Harlequins A 2.
Yeah, unfortunate for Harlequins. Just at the minute, not finding their feet at the moment. Alfie Swales with both goals for Harlequins. And then for Vikings, it was John Cooper with 2, Alex Andrews with 2, John Verrills with 1, and Josh Douglas with 1. But the current champions keeping their good 100% record up.
Okay, and tighter game. Sounds like this could have been quite a good one for the neutral of the spectators. Valkyries A4, Castletown A3.
Yeah, and I mean, when I previewed this last night on Friday preview, I did say Castletown have been a bogey team for Valkyries, and it has proven today because Castletown have took the game to them, and Valkyries have only just come away with the win. Unfortunately, we don't have the Castletown A goal scorers, so if you could text them through 166177. But for Valkyries, it was Sam Moffat and Ollie Webster with a hat-trick.
Okay, and we move on to the Ladies Premier League. In the first game there, finished Harlequins A-0, Vikings A2.
Yeah, Vikings will be happy to get back to winning ways after suffering an opening weekend defeat last weekend. Katie Errolks and Jess Birch with a goal each.
Okay, Ramsey A-0, Castletown A7.
Yeah, and if I'm right, Castletown A will now go 2 points clear at the top of the league following this result. Hannah Leese with 2, Caitlin Williams with 1, Alex Callow with 1, Evie Watson with 1, Dulcie Tier with 1, and newly appointed captain of Castletown Ladies A, Sarah Farragher.
And the final game in the Ladies Premier League, Backers A1, Valkyries A2.
Yeah, really close game by the sound of it. Ellen Cleater with both goals for Valkyries, and then Sophie Hudson for Backers A.
Men's Division 1 kicked off with an early start, 25-10 this morning, but it was Backers Derby, the C team taking on the B team, and the B team running out 10-0 winners in that game.
Yeah, Craig Leese with 4 goals, Doug Quayle with 1, Lucas Hardin with 1, Drac Grimbley with 2, Will Wiseman with 1, and Nick Wilson with 1, giving Backers B that 10-goal win over their C team.
Vikings B5, Harlequins B0.
Yeah, Braden Masterson with 1, Josh Knights with 2, and apologies if I pronounced this name wrong, Jacques Wolfels, apologies if I've pronounced that right, I think I have anyway, with 2 goals, but Vikings B showing their true potential.
And Ramsey A4, Castletown B1, the final game in Men's Division 1.
Yeah, no goal scorers for Castletown Men's B, but for Ramsey A, it was Jordan Parkins with 2, Daniel Cross with 1, and Alfie Mellons with 1. I think Daniel Cross, if I'm right, if it is the Daniel Cross I'm thinking of, is a former Castletown player.
Oh, there you go, coming back to haunt them. Ladies Division 1, Castletown D0, Valkyries B1.
Yeah, really close game from both reports I've had from both captains. Lisa Pugh with the goal for Valkyries B, but I have been asked to give a shout out to the 2 umpires in this game, 2 new umpires, which we've just done their training before Christmas, and they absolutely had an outstanding game from both captains. They've said this, an outstanding game, really positive in their decision making, and really looked good for the future. And that was Ashley Lynch and Molly Howland.
Great to see new umpires coming through, because I'd imagine hockey in a similar situation to football. You know, you're always wanting new people to come through and take up umpiring.
Absolutely, and I mean we had a recruitment drive just before Christmas, and we got I think it was about 20 new umpires trained up. So that's going to be mixed now between the juniors and the seniors. So obviously our younger umpires will do the junior games, meaning that the older ones, the senior ones, can do the senior games. But there's nothing saying that the junior umpires, if they're feeling confident and want to have a go at doing a senior game, they can be appointed to it.
And just, I appreciate you said you had the recruitment drive. People may well have applied there, but if people are interested, it's something that interests them, do they just contact the Manx Hockey Association directly?
Yeah, contact the Manx Hockey Association directly, or just go through the clubs, and the secretaries there will be able to point you in the right direction.
Great. Okay, let's move on then with Ladies Division 1 again. Vikings B 0, Castletown B 6.
Yeah, Castletown B making a strong statement in this one. Ella Grace Edwards with 1, Eden McCubbin with 1, Gypsy May Quirk with 1, and Fern Bagazzi with 2. And Castletown B looking really good.
And the final game in Ladies Division 1, another tight result here. Backers B 3, Castletown C 3.
Yeah, sounds a real good game, this one. Sam Franklin, Sophie Partons, and Georgia Sullivan for Backers B. And then for Castletown C, it was Lola Hornby-Wheeler with a hat-trick.
And Men's Division 2, Valkyries C 3, Castletown C 0.
Yeah, Mike Fowles with 2 and Johnny Kane with a goal, giving Valkyries a 3-0 win over Castletown C.
And the second game in Men's Division 2, Vikings C 7, Backers Colts 1.
Yeah, commanding win there for Vikings C. Danny Kane with 3. Henry Stewart's with 2, Bruce Skimber and Ian Perry with goals each, and then the consolation for Backers Colts was Dave Neal.
Ladies Division 2, Ramsey B 0, Castletown E 0.
Yeah, this is the game I umpired, and 0-0 really doesn't say how entertaining this game was. It was end to end, and Ramsey had chances, Castletown had chances, but just both sides just couldn't find the back of the net. Both keepers had a really good game as well, and I want to pass a comment on for this game. Both teams had new players that have took up the sport playing in their teams today, and it was just great to see a lovely friendly game being played. Everyone was having a laugh, and there was a few little slips here and there. It was, oh, you all right? And it was a really pleasant game to umpire. And I know I said it to Paul on Saturday Live, but I've been umpiring now for 9 years, and that's the first game I've umpired that's finished 0-0.
You're due a run of them now, though, aren't you?
Yeah, you watch, it'll happen now.
Carrying on in Ladies Division 2, Backers C2, Valkyries C 0.
Yeah, Backers C doing well in this division. They had a rough season last year in Division 1 and in Division 2 now, which is a lot more comfortable for them. Amara Corkill with 1 and Alice Kameen with 1.
And the final game in Ladies Division 2 finished Harlequins B 1, Vikings C 1.
Yeah, real good close game. I thought this one would be close. Joanna Roney for Vikings C and Molly Wright for Harlequins B.
And in the mixed under-15s league, two games that we've got results for there. Valkyries 8, Ramsey Rogues and Rascals 0.
Yeah, Kayla Quayle with 2, Ria Marr with 2, Harry Lewis with 1, Bonnie Eels with 1, William Miller with 1, and Ryan Thomas with 1, giving Valkyries a good win there.
And Castletown Sabres 3, Vikings B 0.
Yeah, Eden Cummin and George Hampton, and then Barnaby Vivian, all with goals each for Castletown Sabres.
And there was a late game in the mixed under-15s league that got underway about 45 minutes ago between Harlequins and Vikings A at King William's College. And we were hoping to get a half-time on that. Has that come through yet?
I'm just looking as my source helped me. No, he hasn't. Unfortunately, he has let me down. Right. So unfortunately, we cannot give you a half-time score on that one. But that game will be well into the second half now. Probably halfway through the second half now. So, yeah, we'll get that score for publishing when we get it. But just before we end, Simon, like I say, we've had a lot of new umpires this week, and last week, making debuts, obviously following the recruitment drive before Christmas. It's great to see all the captains and everything pass and comment on the new up and coming umpires, and that it's great because it gives them the momentum to carry on, and it also gives them the feeling that, I did well there. And that, so it's great to hear. And I mean, there was parents at the game I umpired today, and they were all commenting just how pleasant it was, how pleasant of an umpire I was. I mean, I did ask them were they watching the right game, but but of course, all these nice comments, it really does help keep people doing the umpiring, because we were short last season on a few umpires. A couple of umpires were having to do longer games, doing the odd or 2 games as well as playing. But now we've got these new umpires coming through. Hopefully we'll be able to spread the load out and that. And and then fingers crossed next weekend. Captains, please, can we have scores text in to the studio 166177?
It does just make our life so much easier if we get that, because otherwise we spend the hour before this just chasing around trying to get stuff, don't we? So if you can send them through, that would be fantastic.
And I've just had the Castletown men's A goal scorers in, and they were Andrew Winstanley, Ned McGregor and Archie Cox.
Great, Ben, thank you very much for this afternoon. You are looking after things not next week, but the week after. I'm totally lost, to be honest.
It's musical chairs at the minute between me and you, isn't it?
I believe I'm on Friday Sport Preview next Friday, full-time, and Classifieds next Saturday, so I will speak to you then. Don't forget the programme available to catch up on demand very shortly as a podcast at manxradio.com. Thanks as always to Tony Mepham, Dave Christian and Ben Cunningham. And with the time at 11 minutes away from 6 o'clock, we'll hand you back over to Manx Radio Gold.